Julia Wake, SSP.
This is Michelle. I'll be monitoring the Zoom.
Robert Martin Jr.
His better half, Marcia Martin.
Yes, he is.
Linda Kinkler.
Vishal Balaji,
Ruth Tompkins.
William Victor.
I'll let you know the meeting started.
Tynesha Hicks, SSP.
Willard McHugh.
Alicia Breckelmeyer, SSP.
Kim Vaughn,
Tasha.
Andrea Silver, SSP. Erica Walls. Kay Longcliffe.
I don't have a clue. Terry, somebody.
Harry.
Mike Boyd. Michael Boyd. Belinda Bright. Sarah Pretchel. Anna Paul. Hope Shrake.
Interpreters 2, please.
Rachel Koch, interpreter. Betts Blackley, interpreter. What's wrong? Bex Lackey, interpreter.
Through Zoom, we have Anna and Jamie who will be interpreting on the Zoom. Then we have Linda H. and Sharon T, Amy, Ann, Isaiah, Brandy Y, Sheila L, Lydia O, Jenny B, Debbie P, Lori E, a tactile interpreter, and Chip H, all via Zoom.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you again all for being here. I will say, if you, thank you to all of those on Zoom and in person. For those of you who, I know some names who are not SASE members, if any of you, are interested in joining SASE, you can either email saseinfo22@gmail.com or talk to me after the meeting. So without any further ado, Mary and I, as well as several other SASE members, have had the privilege of being able to work with Sarah and Delinda for the last several years on some really neat projects that we've all benefited from. And now we know that Deaf Inc. has the SSP program, and they're here to talk about all their plans. They'll take our questions. So without further ado, I want to have us welcome Sarah and Delinda.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Thank you so much for coming here today and joining us today. We're really excited to meet everybody and to talk with you guys. So, and also thank you, Brett, for that introduction. Before we go ahead and get started, my name is Sarah Pretchel.
Thank you.
Who's speaking?
Who is speaking right now?
No.
Oh, sorry. Sarah Pretchel. I'm a middle-aged woman, and I'm trying to say that right now. I have medium length brown hair, I have brown eyes, and I'm wearing a black shirt with long sleeves. Delinda? Hi, this is Delinda Bright signing. My sign name looks like a D and an L on your non-dominant wrist. I have short hair, I'm a white woman, and I have gray hair on the sides of my brown hair, and I'm also wearing a black shirt, but with short sleeves. Hi, my name is Anna Paul, signing. I'm 22, I'm a white woman. And I have brown hair, it's kind of long. And I have a black long sleeve shirt on. This is Dylan signing. Sarah and I forgot to tell you guys also we're white. This is Sarah signing. For the purposes of communication, Delinda and I will be signing this whole meeting, and we'll be using interpreters to voice for us. So if those who need to watch us, please feel free to move around so that we are in your eyesight. And we only have 2 interpreters in the room, so I just want to let you know that if you rely on sign for your communication needs, please feel free to move around. We're going to start with a brief presentation with comments, a brief presentation, and then we'll take a break to answer any questions that you might have going on in the meeting. This is Delinda signing. We have papers on the tables around the room, and those are media waivers, a media waiver form. So if you could please read that, and you can have an SSP, of course, assist you if you need, and then sign it. And then when you're done, you can leave it on the table and we will go around to collect it. That allows us to have our media specialist to take pictures today for the town hall meeting. And that's Hope Shrake, who I mentioned earlier. She is the one who is taking the pictures. If you do not want to be in the photos, there's a sign on that paper, right? They can sign for that. Okay, if you do not want to be in the pictures, please raise your hand and allow the media specialist to know so that she does not accidentally get you in the pictures, okay? Is anybody opposed to being in pictures? I don't see any hands. Okay, thank you so much. That's very important to sign that paper, please. If you need help or assistance, we can help you fill out that paper as well. Thank you. This is Sarah signing. Because Sassy invited us to come to speak with you all, we recognize that this is not an inclusive of all participants in the SSP program. And for that purpose, we have asked Anna, our team member, to come and take notes and record your questions and whatnot, and take notes of the meeting. And the responses for all the questions will be shared with all the participants in the SSP program next week, because we want to make sure that all participants in the SSP program have access to the information. So we just want to let you guys know that that's what Anna will be doing. This is Delinda signing. So we're gonna. Oh, okay, sorry for the interruption. There was a phone ringing. Okay. We will introduce ourselves a little bit more and explain what kind of role we have at Deaf Inc., as well as a little bit of history about Deaf Inc. and about our work, okay? So Sarah's gonna start with that. Yes, this is Sarah signing. So I was born and raised here in St. Louis. I was born deaf. And really, that was I'm a product of the special school district. So I grew up in the oral system, and then I learned how to sign when I was about 13. And that was around the time when my identification as a deaf person changed. And I started to recognize myself as a person with hearing loss at that time. But I was also kind of denying my hearing loss growing up and was resisting learning sign and socializing with the deaf community. And then finally identified as a deaf person. So today I do identify as a deaf person, and I use both sign language and spoken language to communicate. My preference and my comfort level is sign language. My professional background is in social work, and I went to college at RIT and Gallaudet University, and I got my master's degree in social work. And my major started with vocational rehab. And I was there for a couple of years, and then I moved on to BJC Behavioral Health. And I was a consultant I was in the clinic for about 10 years. And so I provided therapy services as well as management services. And I've always really enjoyed and I loved working with the deaf community. And I received so much support from the community as I was growing up that I wanted to give it back as an adult and help be more involved with the community going on. And I started to grow a family, and then with behavioral health work, I decided to kind of shift gears, and that was when an opportunity at Deaf Inc. Opened up. And then I became the executive director a few years ago, and I love it. I love my work at Deaf Inc. I love the mission. I love working with the community, and I plan to be there for several more years at least. This is Delinda signing. I was born and raised here in Missouri, and I was actually born in Springfield, Missouri. I have two brothers. My oldest brother's hearing, my second brother was deaf, and me as a baby. So I grew up in a hearing family with a deaf brother, just the two of us, signing. And I was in a mainstream school, and then I went to Gallaudet University for about 1 year, and I decided that it wasn't for me, and I transferred to a hearing college, a public college, Springfield College in Massachusetts. And then I got a human services master's degree for counseling. And I identify myself as a social worker, yes, but I'm not licensed. I would say for about 30 years, well, actually more than 30 years now, I've been working in the deaf, hard of hearing, deafblind community, and also with, in general, people with disabilities. I've worn several hats. I've done counseling, I've done independent living specialist, I've done mentoring, advocating, so many hats through the years that I've done. My first encounter with a deafblind person was at a camp, actually, when I was in high school. And that deafblind individual needed an interpreter for an event at the camp. And so they pulled me and said, hey, do you mind helping out? And because the other interpreter was sick, like the actual interpreter was sick, and I was like, okay, sure. And I was about 16. I was kind of going along with it, and I was learning on the fly. And that was my first experience. And from then on, I really embodied that. And so I volunteered my time. And it was not until I was about 2009 that I started working with deafblind community professionally.
Within the deafblind community in Southwest Missouri, as well as building up connections and resources for different services. I mean, there are so many gaps in the state of Missouri for resources. So I was one of the people who helped to start CDHH many, many years ago, discussing like, okay, what is the need that we have in the state of Missouri? One of the biggest discussions was the independence. So deafblind, very frequently, they're kind of left out of that. So trying to identify what those gaps were so that we could provide support services. So that was really where we started from there. Developing the task force with legislation and getting everything, all the bills passed, we were able to receive funding. And then we had Mary as well over there who wanted to get involved, and then myself, and then Beth Jordan, and then Emily Tofin from MCDHH. She was staff many, many years ago. It was the four of us were really working so hard to develop all these different programs and these policies and everything, really getting them going. So I was one of the people who was providing training to the trainers for them to be able to go out and train other people working with SSPs and deafblind, working at their job sites. So one of the roles with that is very, very different than like interpreting services. So I was very heavily involved for 17 years, and for the last 17 years, I haven't been as much. So I'm feeling like this is kind of going back full circle for me, because I was one of the people who was able to start it, and now it's come back and I'm able to help run the program again. So I'm very, very excited to be working with the deafblind individuals in the state of Missouri again, and working with the SSPs, and really being able to give you guys your independence back. All right, and so sorry. My job title is community director, or director of community programs at Deaf Inc. for almost 4 years now. And then the interpreter, we're gonna take an interpreter pause really quick. There's a lot of noise going on, so we're just going to take a pause to make sure everything, we have some people who just arrived, so we're going to take a pause to make sure everyone gets settled before we keep going.
Delinda is interpreting, or Delinda is signing. She has an interpreter interpreting. Kim will want to sit. Kim will want to sit up here so she can see them directly. If she wants to sit maybe at the corner up there so she can see them best.
I will, but.
Do we want to announce the new also this time?
Sure. I know.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, for the interruption, we have some late arrivals today. And this is Michelle. I failed to announce earlier that Christy F is also with us via Zoom. It's her first time at a meeting, so welcome. We have Bob and Jeannie J have arrived, and Gary and Rhonda J have arrived. Andrea is the SSP, Chris W is an SSP, Kim B has arrived with her SSP, Jenny. And is that everybody? I think that's everybody. Thank you.
Hi, this is Anna speaking. I was born and raised in St. Louis. I went to high school here. I went to college, STL, St. Louis Community College, Florissant Valley. I got my associate's degree there in deaf communications. I did my 2 years there and then I transferred to William Woods University. I have my bachelor's in science degree in interpreting. I applied to Deaf Inc. for the scheduling department role. And Delinda and Sarah contacted me to offer me the SSP management position. So that's kind of how I got involved with Deaf Inc. I'm a little bit of experience working with deaf-blind individuals within school settings. And I'm very, very excited to get to start working with all of you and the SSPs and really just the community in general. All right. So this is Sarah speaking. I want to make sure everyone knows that Anna just started 2 weeks ago. So she's been going through training. So we just kind of dropped her in with the wolves and she's just gotten here and she's here today. So she's doing great. But I realized that we had forgotten to kind of briefly summarize my experience with deafblind community as well.
Are you doing okay?
So I really, honestly, I'm still very new to learning this. Really, my first interaction with was with Mary Hale. So maybe about 3 years ago. I met her through Delinda. And Mary was so kind, welcoming me in and really educating me so much about working with deafblind community and what the community needs were. So that really led to this kind of special interest project with Brett that Brett was mentioning just recently, and that leads to kind of this meeting as well. So I'm still learning, I'm still going through it, but I'm really enjoying your feedback and letting me know. And I'm very open-minded. I love chatting with all of you, so please feel free to come up to me anytime. So today I want to talk just a little bit about Deaf Inc. But first, if you don't mind, can you please raise your hand if you are aware of Deaf Inc. already? If you are familiar with Deaf Inc., can you please raise your hand? Great. So how many of you know that there's a lot of, do you know how much, like, do you know a lot about Deaf Inc.? Or do you know just a little bit? Okay, just a little bit. Okay, okay. That helps me be kind of aware of how much I need to kind of expand on this with what we're doing at Deaf Inc. So Deaf Inc. was established in 2008, on August 8th, 2008. 080808. So just want to let you all know that was on purpose. So Deaf Inc. was established by several different community members who had experienced some communication barriers within the community of St. Louis, specifically regarding the hospital system. So there was one specific family that was not receiving interpreter services during a very, very critical procedure and post-procedure. Because of not getting access to interpreters and not getting access to that communication, unfortunately, the result was a death of the family member. So there was a lawsuit that was involved, and several donors within the community all banded together to get that money and establish Deaf Inc. So Deaf Inc. really started with the purpose of becoming an interpreting agency. That kind of went on for about 6 months, and then they realized that we are really needing to expand our services to include community programs and specificities and support and communication access. So ever since then, the programs have just keep expanding. We have the interpreting agency part, which has just expanded over so many years. And we also have community programs, which has done the same. So the community programs, really, we have 4 specific areas that we focus on: access, education, community programs, and outreach. So those 4 core principles are very, very different as we go along. They've kind of changed and shifted a little bit, but the purpose has been the same, to be meeting the community needs. We are not here for us. We're here for you all. That good? Yes, Delinda is agreeing. Anything that would you like to add? Sarah's asking. So Sarah's going, I'm just going to backtrack just a little bit. We have 17 team members. About half of them make up our interpreting side. And then the rest are focused on community programs. Most of them are under Delinda. She's their supervisor. So we do have 2 staff members who are actually both here today, 2 interpreting staff members. So just a little bit want to summarize what we're doing at Deaf Inc. in the process for deafblind community. Honestly, I'm a little disappointed that we haven't done it more so far. It wasn't until about, 2015. So it was more than 5 years after the establishment of Deaf Inc. that Deaf Inc. actually started doing more to include the deafblind community. And after that reasoning, there was just not, we just realized that there wasn't any education there. There wasn't awareness of deafblind. It was a very hidden community for us. And I mean, it still is, still very hidden. So there's a time and a place, correct, that you need the right people and the right time and the right place. Deaf Inc. was not that at the time. And it hasn't been until really Delinda started working there. Delinda really brought her knowledge, her expertise, her skill set, her experience, and was able to share that with our team. And that was when she introduced me to Mary, and we were able to start conversations and talking. And I didn't even realize that we needed to have a change. We needed to bring attention to this. We needed to provide support. You all work tirelessly and work so hard fighting for your basic access and fighting for your communication needs. But the community we need to do that for the community at large. we need to have more people behind you as well. So that is why we're here today. That's the reason why we applied for the SSP grant. That was why we wanted to be here for you all to be able to walk alongside you.
There's an interpreter break.
I'm sorry.
This is Delinda signing. How many of you are familiar with the history of the SSP grant? By a show of hands. Okay, a few of you. Okay, I see a few hands. Okay. I'm gonna elaborate a little bit with my involvement and how we navigated through this. So I started working in Merrill, MERIL, in St. Joseph. And that was under the direction of J.C. Dockler. And J.C. Dockler is the father of a deafblind individual. And so under his direction, he wanted me to start really getting involved with finding the best resources and the best support for advocacy for the deafblind community. And so I went for it. I dove right in. And I connected with Beth Jordan. And so Beth introduced me to Mary Hale. And we started getting together and having meetings and discussions and figuring out, okay, we need funding so that we can help pay for the SSPs, because there's a lot of work involved with that and a lot of responsibility for the SSPs. Like, it can't just be volunteers, they should be paid. And so we started to have conversations, and it took months and months and months of meetings after meetings and emails and correspondence. And so finally, we found a representative who agreed strongly that they wanted to support the bill. And so about a year later, for legislature reasons, we started finally with that progress and lobbying. And we went to the legislators with a deafblind individual, JC's son, maybe you know him, maybe you don't. And so we would go and we would lobby, and we would go there over and over for a full summer. We were lobbying and supporting and advocating and testifying. And some of you actually came to the Capitol to testify, and there was a lot involved. It was a big process. And so our big surprise, that bill was passed. And that was the first attempt, and we thought, oh, this is going to take several years, it's going to be a long process, and we were shocked that it passed the first attempt, and we were like, oh my gosh, okay, great. So MCDHH, and the director at that time was Ope, whose last name is very long. I'm sorry, I'm not going to put anybody through that. So Ope decided to form an official, like a formal task force, and gave us permission to develop the RIP, the job description, the expectations, what the training should look like, et cetera, et cetera. And so we invested so many hours on that, getting everything ready. And at that time, we started going and we realized, well, wait a minute. We were setting ourselves up to fail. And this is because in the state of Missouri, only a handful of people, of deafblind people, knew what an SSP was, what that meant. So they knew what the role should be. Many deafblind people at that time didn't know, had no idea. So that's, the Midwest typically is behind on technology and resources. The East and West, have already taken off, but the Midwest kind of gets left in the dust. And so that's the problem with, the deafblind here at that time. They were like, what's an SSP? What does that mean? And so we were like, okay. So we had to develop training, PowerPoints, etc., getting ready for that. We're like, okay, so the task force was discussing, we're like, okay, well, who's going to provide the training? So we had discussions about that. And all the fingers started pointing right at me. And I went, me? All right, okay. Well, fine. And I did not think that I was qualified, but I was like, okay, I'm willing, I will do it. So I set up trainings And the staff who were already receiving, who had already gotten the grant at that time, there was two different agencies. One was in the east and one was in the west side of Missouri. So they sent several people to me so that I can train all of them. And that training took place for 2 days. So for 2 full days, we trained and trained and trained, and then they went back to their respective sides of the state and went to go train the deafblind and the SSPs. So I was a trainer for about 2 years, and then it came to the point where they didn't need me anymore. The trainers knew what to do on their sides of the state, and it started kind of a rippling effect. And then I moved to a different state for a while, so I had to step down from the task force. Interpreter pause. So I had to step down from the task force, and that was fine at the time. So when I moved back to Missouri, I was so happy to see that things had continued and that really took off. They didn't need me back. Everything was good. So at the end, so when I got the job at DeafInc and I started working there, and I went, oh, DeafInc isn't fully accessible to deafblind. There are some gaps. It's not, okay, we're missing some stuff. So the mission didn't say deafblind, it just said deaf and hard of hearing. And I said, hey, we need to add the deafblind community into our mission and vision. And then this opportunity for the SSP program came out for us getting the grant. And we got multiple people telling us, hey, please try to get the bid for the SSP program. And so Sarah and I had a lot of discussions and we were like, okay, yes. So I have a very big heart for this community, and I love to see independence in the deafblind community and the deafblind individuals. And I know that you can become more and more independent. So I'm so thrilled to see the SSP program is back to us, back to me, and I will do my best to advocate for you all and to grow this program. So that's the story of SSPs from back then until now with my point of view. This is Sarah signing. So everybody in this room, are you all a participant in the SSP program by a show of hands? Everybody? Is everybody? Okay. Are people on Zoom as well? Okay, awesome. So that means that you all get our emails. We all got sent an email last Thursday, was it?
Yes.
Yes, 2 days ago. Okay, so everybody got our email with that information, that update.
Yeah.
So this is Delinda's signing. Those who have not gotten an email, please see me after this meeting. Okay, so we can get that sorted out.
I don't have it.
Sarah's signing. Okay, we had sent an email with an update on what we've been doing so far since we've gotten that grant. And to let you guys know, oh my goodness, there's a lot of work that has been given to us to get everything up and running again. And I know you guys have been very patiently waiting, very, very patiently. And thank you so very much for your continued patience. I want to assure you that we have been working at this every single day. But you know, things don't always move as fast as we want them to sometimes. So since you guys have gotten our emails with the updates, I'm not gonna repeat all that information again. I'm gonna save your time. So we would like to open up the floor for questions. And before we open up the floor for questions, I would like to clarify communication.
Yeah.
So we don't have a lot of time. So if we can. Okay. Okay, there was a music distraction. Okay. So please raise your hand to ask a question, and we are going to try to minimize comments and stories and really kind of get to the point so that Sarah and I, so that Delinda and I can answer your questions appropriately. And then Anna is going to type out all the questions and answers. And Brett, is there anything that you want us to share before we open up the floor for questions?
Yes, make sure that the Zoom members know.
Yeah, so this is Brett. First of all, thank you, Anna, Delinda, and Sarah for that presentation. A couple of things. So first of all, please understand, so we don't, because of the complexity of today with the interpretation and we have a limited number of mics. Those of you on Zoom, if you have questions, raise your hand. Michelle will, you'll give your questions to Michelle and she will relay them back to us. We don't have the ability, we typically do, but we don't today have the ability to relay your voice back to the room. I apologize for that, but we will, and just so those of you in the room are aware, we will be pausing the in-person questions periodically to take questions from the Zoom attendees. And we will let you know when that happens. I think we will have a 15-minute break at 11 o'clock or so. And one more thing before we get to the questions. I know there's a lot of questions in this room and a lot of questions on Zoom.
Yeah.
So I am going to put a limit for anyone who wants to ask a question, please ask, and we are going to enforce this. Please ask one question. Once you have done that, once we have gone around the Zoom and the room, if we have time for another round, we will do that, but one question per person, please.
This is Delinda signing. Before we start with the Q&A, we had a few points that we wanted to put out real quick that we probably, we think might answer some questions that you guys have. So after we do so, if you still have a question, then please raise your hand. Is that okay? Okay. The repeated question that we are getting is, the $1 million question is, when can we start SSPs? When we start using SSP services again? We do. We do not have a date established yet. We are very hopeful as soon as possible, and we're hoping early February, but we will see. So please watch for our email. We will send it out to you. But right now, we are kind of in the middle still of developing the platform that we are using and transferring all the information from VamPro. So we're still in the middle of that, so we can't actually start scheduling SSP services yet because the platform is not finished. So when the platform is finished, and then the team, Anna, me, and Sarah, we will have to kind of look at everything and do a little bit of training ourselves to understand how the platform works. And then we will be ready and we will send an email to let everybody know. So please be patient with us and watch for our email. You are welcome to contact us anytime to ask us, and that's fine, but we will send out a mass email as soon as we know. And like Sarah had explained a bit about Deaf Inc., you know, our history. Before, we didn't really know a lot about the deafblind program. So this is still pretty new to Sarah. I'm the only person that's really rather experienced in the deafblind community, so I have to train Sarah and do other training for our other staff members related to the program. So I don't want anything to get messed up with the program and then have to problem solve later down the road. Thank you so much. We are very appreciative to Sassy for establishing this meeting. Thank you. This is not necessarily a point where we are sharing information today. We will share information by email or by letter, because we know some people don't have email. So, but we will contact you guys as much as we can. So Anna or I will. So if you can watch for our emails for information sharing, that would be great. And that's our primary communication is going to be emails / letter writing, not meetings like this. This is kind of a one-off. And we are thrilled to hire Anna. She will be our focused on scheduling and communicating with you all. Whenever you guys need SSP services or whenever an SSP themselves need to schedule work, etc. Anna will be the primary point of contact for your needs. And if a problem arises that she cannot solve, then it will go to me and I will be involved in supporting her. And then if I still can't solve that problem, then we'll get Sarah involved. And if the three of us can't solve it, then we will contact MCDHH. Okay. So that's kind of the chain of command. So please first contact Anna or me, Delinda. Okay, thank you. And we will jot down the email as well. We will put that in the email as well as a reminder. So this is still Delinda speaking with a different interpreter. So for the purpose of this grant, really it's going to be a trial run from January to June. So this is kind of, the end of June will be kind of the trial run. So we will not be putting forward any trainings to new SSPs at this time. We just don't have the time right now. It's very limited, very short time span that we have, and then budgeting and everything. So we just decided that there's not going to be any trainings that we will be providing to new deafblind individuals and new SSPs at this time. However, if you are a deaf individual who lives in the area or deafblind individual who lives in the area and you have no SSPs in the area, there's really no options, then I will be making an exception and I will be doing the one-on-one training with you. However, for right now, for the purpose of the SSP programs that we have so many things that we need to be focusing on right now. We have so many SSPs available. Interpreter error. So we don't plan on hiring any more staff at this time for this short period of time. Anna will be the only one that we have. Again, she's going to be your primary point of contact person. The SSP hours, we will continue what VanCrow had already established, as well as we have received a few emails from deafblind individuals asking some good questions regarding the hours, seeing about SSP hours. I mean, January, we don't have any SSP services open, so what should I be doing? The two of us have discussed and we have decided that we are going to allow hours to transfer over, to roll over to the next cycle, meaning Sarah is clarifying quarter, Delinda is continuing, yes, for the next quarter, for April to May, June. They will roll over that quarter for that cycle. For July 1st, your total number of hours left will be completely wiped free. We will be starting completely over, okay? July 1st, correct, because that will be a new grant cycle. Are you a little confused? Okay, yes. So MCDHH, their grant cycle starts July 1st. Yeah. And it cycles through to June 31st, June 30th, June 30th, June 30th. So that is the grant cycle. So VanCrow cut terminated their contract, and we are taking over from January 1st, so that we are really at the end of VanCrow's cycle. So the hours that you all received for each quarter from January, I mean, it seemed like it was all gone. So, and we weren't ready to open the program back up yet.
So the hours for January, February, March, we've decided to go ahead, for those 3 months. The hours, if you had not used them, you're able to roll them over to the last quarter. Does that answer your question? Does that clarify? Go ahead. How many hours?
40 hours.
Okay, 40.
40 for each quarter.
40 in quarter.
Yeah.
Okay, Sarah's speaking now or signing. So you all currently receive 40 hours each quarter,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Because we already were in the third quarter, where for the January to March, and you're not using your hours right now, those are going to, whatever hours that you had left in that quarter at the end of March, you'll be able to roll them over into the last quarter, which is April, May, and June. Okay, good, okay. Okay, this is Delinda. With your hours, you will have a lot to be able, they'll go quickly. So please be creative and use it up. You're going to have quite many hours. I cannot emphasize enough the importance that it is to make sure that you use up all of your hours, because right now MCDHH is really working so hard to try to pass it to a bill. It won't happen this year. It's going to be later, but propose a bill to legislation to ask to increase the hours. But if we propose them this bill and we ask them to increase the hours, they're going to look at the numbers and the data and say, well, the deafblind individuals aren't using up their hours. They're not using all the hours that we're giving them already. So clearly they don't need more hours, or they don't need more funding. So please, for the purpose of this cycle especially, be very creative, use it up. Not only for medical or for grocery shopping, go to an event, go to a ball game, use it, use the SSP hours that you have available. Go to your family, go to a birthday party or whatever. Use the hours up, please. And understand also that maybe you try to conserve them and hold on to some hours for an emergency. Last minute you need to go see a doctor. I understand holding on to a couple, but 2 to 4 hours left over is better than 10 to 15 hours. That's very different numbers. If you are needing help with getting creative, please contact me. I am so happy to give you some ideas of what you could do. This is Sarah signing. Delinda's, what is Delinda's last name? It is Bright. Bright. She's very bright, very smart, very creative. Just like the shape of a light bulb, very creative. This is Delinda saying, going with a deafblind individual to the Anheuser, go on a roller coaster,
Amusement
park, go to the lake, go on a boat ride, go on a cruise. I mean, there's so many different options. I have ideas. I will give you ideas.
Yes.
I want to be very open and transparent with you all. Ever since Sarah and I proposed for the bid for this grant and we received it.
Can we hold communication for just a moment? Our Zoom has lagged and we're gonna try to get that going.
Is that what that is?
All right, we'll pause.
I've never seen anything like that before.
Green is like straight out.
This is Hannah, the interpreter. We can still hear and speak clearly.
The interpreter on Zoom says they can still speak and hear clearly. So it's still working on their end, even though I can't see. So to our Zoom attendees, this is Michelle. I am unable at this point to see anything. The screen is in streaks. I cannot see the interpreters at all. It looks like a barcode made up of all your little bitty faces in the chat. It's like a barcode across my screen. It's really strange. And I don't want to mess. I don't even have my cursor. So as long as you guys can see and hear, we will keep you we will keep you. I won't shut down and try and redo this again because we know we still have a
Hey,
connection
just
with
so
the
everyone
interpreters.
knows, they're not on break right now, we're just pausing to fix some technical difficulties, so just wait patiently and we'll resume very, very soon.
So I'm gonna leave you connected the way you are, since the interpreters are still seen by the deaf and deafblind attendees. And since you can all still hear what's going on, and I will try a different way to be able to see the chat and respond.
One ear right now.
And so we'll go.
Do the best I can. Zoom is back.
Well, it's not.
We are working it.
Zoom is, this is Michelle. Zoom, despite what I'm seeing on my screen, the participants can still see the interpreters, they can still hear us. So evidently the problem is just with my computer. So I'm gonna try and get in via Zoom so I can still access I'm going to try to access Zoom via my phone so I can still access the chat and see if anybody's raising their hand to be able to conduct the rest of the meeting. In that regards, everything else, go ahead and continue. People on Zoom, I will get to you as soon as I can.
Right, it's Delinda speaking. What I was just saying was we're wanting to be very transparent and share with you all that Sarah and I and Deaf Inc. have received a lot of communication and support with MCDHH and their task force that they had, as well as VanPro. So we want to hats off to them for really helping us with this, setting up our program the right way and that transition that we're going through so that we're able to go through without a bunch of errors and mistakes. Lastly, but not the last thing, this is more for your SSPs specifically. I know there's a big question of when can I start over? When do I have to apply and send in paperwork and everything? What we're doing right now is we will be needing to have you sign a couple of forms, agreements to confidentiality, professional conduct under our company, in independent contractor agreement that we have. We need to have those signed under Deaf Inc., as well as needing to receive your voided checks for direct deposit pay as well. We won't be able to send you checks. We really prefer doing direct deposit. So if you don't have a voided check, please contact us and we can figure out the way that we'll be able to pay. No need for background checks. MCDHH said that they're going to honor VanPro's background checks, but with the new cycle, if we are awarded again, we will have to restart again under with background checks under Deaf Inc. as well with the new cycle. So we will be sending you all an email to the SSPs next week to really start that paperwork process to be able to be prepared and ready whenever we are actually able to start the program and with our platform and everything. Excuse me, just one moment. Okay, sorry, we had a deafblind individual walk back into the room, so we wanted to make sure they got situated. If we don't have all of the paperwork that we are needing from you all, SSPs, we will not be able to start working with you until we have everything in our hands. So please watch for those emails for communication next week. All right, good deal. Okay, so that's kind
have
of
a few
our
questions in the
little
chat,
updates
Michelle.
that we have. So we really want to open the floor to questions now.
Yes,
So,
this is Michelle. I can hear you, but I can't
do
see
we
you
want
at
to
this
start with
point.
this? Okay, let's start with opening the floor with your questions. I see there's a hand over there.
So pause
Wait,
for a
just
moment.
one moment.
Please, for the people on Zoom, please go ahead. If you have a question, I can't see you at this point. I am trying an alternative way to get in
The
without shutting you
interpreter,
down and starting over. So if one of the interpreters on Zoom can get the question and voice it for me, I will gladly write it down and present it to the group. Does that
Okay.
work?
sure. Question from Isaiah. He would like to know if there's going to be a meeting on February 1st at the same time.
Julia.
And then there is a question from Jenny.
Okay, yeah, if you go ahead. She was there first.
So
It
the
was first.
comment is Vancro had to limit
Why don't you go
hours
ahead and
for
write down the question?
participants.
So while you're writing down the
There was
question, it's good
already
time for
using
Julia
up
to ask
most
their
of their
question.
hours and going over the limits.
All right, go ahead.
Please confirm that there really is enough funding for people to use the remainder of their 40 hours. Previous communication was that there was not enough funding to continue the program at its current structure.
Thank you.
And
I've got
then-
that. Okay.
Okay, and then the last comment is also from Jenny. And she said, for the SSPs, will the compensation
Julia,
be
have a
the
question
same
for
as
us?
it was under Vancro? As it was managed before, such as hours, mileage, travel?
My name is Linda Kinkler.
And they're asking if one
I'm
person can
really
talk at a time.
happy to
Yes.
have Deaf Inc. Aboard with us. But my main question right now is, will we be able to submit an assignment request as we did in the past via text message?
Okay, this is Delinda. Yes.
Right.
I understand that through Vancro, you are able to email or text or call to be able to, or go into your portal. So we will be doing the same kind of system, but we will have a different platform specifically for scheduling. So they were using a Boostlingo interpreter, Boostlingo, or interpreter intelligence. We will be using a different platform because the interpreter intelligence platform is not fully accessible. And also there's other things that are kind of barriers for us to be able to go through with that platform. So we're stepping aside from those and we're going to be using a different platform for us that's same as what our interpreter schedules use, but it's going to be separate for, yes, it's going to be on the computer. It's called USKED, U-S-K-E-D. USKED, USKED. So we will be sending out very detailed instructions on how to log in and make a request, or you're able to email as well, or call Anna or text Anna to put those requests in. Great.
Thank you.
Okay. Zoom question.
Oops. I don't just have to. Via Zoom, there is a question about a meeting. Will there be another meeting on February 1st? No, we don't know of any
No,
meeting
there's not going to
happening
be.
on February 1st. And then Jenny asks, with Vancro, sorry.
This is, follow up with, the response about that. This is Sarah speaking. We have all of our communication will be through email. The reason for that being, we do not, are not able to host meetings and workshops and trainings or community hall, like town hall meetings, because we really want to be able to preserve and save the money that we have, for you all in your hours. We want that to be the focus. And also, we're busy. We're trying to develop and get this program going. So we really want to be able to focus on getting you access to the services now. So there will not be another meeting moving forward.
And then Jenny asks, Vancro previously had limited hours. Because there wasn't enough, because of the funding, they had limited hours being offered and certainly no rollover because of that. So is there enough funding going forward that we won't experience this lapse again? And will there be enough funding to continue under the current structure that we have? With regards to SSPs, will they get the same hours, the same mileage, the same travel expenses, the same reimbursements as what they were previously getting?
This is Delinda. That's a lot of different things, a lot of different questions. So what we are able to say right now is we will be continuing with what you all have currently in place and what you've been getting for services. We're not changing all of them that much right now. Any big change, the only big change that we're making is the platform that you will be using, from Interpreter Intelligence to USCIF. That is the major change we're making right now. As for the number of hours, that will be continuing the same for this cycle, for the end of this cycle. We can't predict what the next cycle will look like, but we suspect it's going to be very, very similar. Because MCDHH has not yet put forward the proposal to legislation to increase the hours. So right now, MCDHH is actively looking for more additional funding to be able to add, to be able to help as well. But for right now, we are limited on what we have for the end of this cycle. So for the rollover, it's only going to be for this specific current cycle. This only because, I mean, for January, you're not going to be having any services, and that's not fair to you all. So we will be allowing only at this time, and as soon as July 1st hits, that will all change. That's all going to stop. And everything will be changing because hopefully we'll be getting more money, but we don't know. So we want to make sure that's clear.
Sorry.
Just one moment, interpreter pause. Check 1 2, check 1 2. Okay, while they're figuring that out, this is Delinda still. I want to explain one more part. With Vancro transferring everything over to us, MCDHH has requested that we also evaluate where the money is going, what we're spending money on, everything, so that we are able to use this time period to really evaluate and review what's going on. That's one of the reasons we're not doing any big changes or training right now. Is very internal and maintaining the SSP services. That is the focus. Making sure you guys are able to continue with your life and make sure that you guys don't have to stop your life right now. So we really want to make sure it's very important that we continue services while we're also internally evaluating and making proposals to MCDHH to make changes down the road and make those additions with the task force. Yes.
Hi, this is Chris, SSP. I was wondering, are we going to be, us SSPs going to be able to drive our consumers?
Delinda? Yes. Those SSPs who have the right insurance coverage, they have the right coverage and everything, they will be able and permitted to drive their consumers. However, we do need to have a copy of your current insurance plan. We need to have that in our hands as well. And then you will be permitted to drive your consumers. The SSPs who do not have that insurance, I'm so sorry, but you will not be able to drive your consumers around. We will be setting up an account with Uber. We will be continuing that the same way that Banco did. We will be continuing to pay for metro services and buses and whatever. We will be continuing all of that. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering, is there some kind of special insurance that we need, or is it just our regular
car insurance?
This is Delinda. It is required to have 1 million personal coverage to the 3 million coverage for collateral for collision insurance, interpreter collision. Because yes, say it again. Okay. You will be required to have the 1 million coverage for personal driving, and then also 3 million for collision liability.
What?
Was it different previously?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, what was Banpro's policy?
Brett, do you know?
1 million? No. Michael's saying no. What was it? You have a bunch of people raising their hand. Can you start with your name? This is Michael speaking, talking about insurance for driving. Was it through the State Farm? And then Banpro required 1,000.
100,000. 100,000 and 300,000.
Wow, that's a lot to increase.
Yeah.
Because previously it was 50 to 100, that was required.
Yes.
100, 300. So it had increased previously for driving, but 1 million now, that's a lot. Okay, Delinda speaking. So we will be reviewing that with MCDHH and regarding what their policy has been and discussing with them to get that decision, because that was what we were told. That was what they told us. So let me go ahead and review that, and I will send out an email explaining all of that to the SSPs as well. All right? Anna. Okay, just going to speak to Anna really quick. Make sure you make a note of that. Okay. Yes, Zoom question? No Zoom questions? Okay. Any more questions right now?
I have a question.
Yes.
Oh. Bob Martin. Question on regarding to what is the percentage going to the SFP? What is the percentage of the funding, I should say, goes to SFP and to the travel expense? And something like that. I don't know if you guys did any calculation of that kind of information. That makes sense. What am I asking? I don't know if Banpro did it.
This is Sarah speaking, Sarah signing. So the way that the budget has been broken down previously was for Banpro. How they were figuring out their budget, I do not know. For us, for Deaf Inc., we have received a flexibility for the last 6 months of the cycle because we know that the services have experienced a lapse. So really, we've had a lot of restrictions on the number. There's been restrictions on the number of hours and everything. So as Delinda was explaining previously, our primary goal right now is to get the SSP hours that get those included with travel. So mileage and portal fees. The funding won't be on training right now. That's not what we're going to be focusing our funding on. So we're going to be focusing on those adaptive costs, admin costs, interpreter admin cost. So really showing, that's what it's going to be. So showing that like we pay our staff. That's one of the things we'll be paying for. We'll be paying for our scheduling platform. We do have to pay for some of the resources to be able to operate this program. But also 75% of the funding that we have been awarded right now for the last 6 months of this cycle will be fully directed towards your hours. The rest of it will be supporting our admin cost and everything like that. I hope that helps clarify a little bit. Right, we have a question in the corner, it looks like. Oh, Mary, you will be next.
And then
there's a question on Zoom.
Just one moment, interpreter pause.
This is William
And then
speaking.
just a second. Okay, go ahead, thank you.
This is William speaking. How many employees are hired by Deaf Inc? And is the Deaf Inc capable of providing a service for the entire Missouri, not only for St. Louis?
Insurance or SSP?
This is Delinda signing. So Deaf Inc. in generally, our primary focus is St. Louis metro area. And that's part of it. So our interpreting services, and part of Illinois as well, our interpreting services cover more area like of Missouri. And we do have advocates as well that will go ahead and go talk to people from other parts of the state, not only St. Louis, but like the other sides of the state. Maybe they have limited resources and need advocacy. For the SSP program, we're servicing the entire state of Missouri. So that being said, Anna will be working with all the SSPs and the deafblind individuals in the state. So like Sarah had explained before, we have limited funding, for services itself. And so that's why we only hired one employee for the SSP program. And so when Anna is off, I will be covering and helping out with scheduling and whatnot. So we want to make sure that you guys are getting continued services. Okay. So once the new cycle starts in July and we are awarded again, then we will set up trainings and we will hire independent contractors for providing trainings in their regions of the state. Okay. Does that help? Did that answer your question? Okay, great. Now, next question. Zoom. Oh, Mary.
This is Julia, while I'm walking over to Mary, I want to give you some visual information that throughout the meeting, Mary has raised her hands on either side of her face and given a hand clap in sign language. And I'm handing the microphone to Mary now.
Thank you very much. This is Mary. I do not have a question at this time, but if it's okay, I know that's unusual, isn't it?
That's shocking.
Because everybody who knows me knows I'm full of questions. But if I have your permission, Sarah and Delinda, I would like to share a little bit of information about the Deafblind Task Force. May I? Okay. Okay, thank you. I am one of the members of the Deafblind Task Force. The task force is made up of several deafblind consumers from throughout the state. We also have added 2 task force members who are also SSPs. The whole task force, the purpose of it is to kind of oversee the SSP program, to be there for the consumers and the SSPs, and to try to keep the program moving forward. We're kind of like in between the consumers, SSPs, and the commission and the vendors. We're kind of like the glue. So in the future, if you have any concerns, questions, and you're not able to reach the vendor, the commission, whoever, feel free to reach out to any of the task force members because that's what we're there for. I will say that in person today, we have two task force members, me, and we have Marsha Martin, who is the SSP representative from this side of the state as a task force member. I will say we have been meeting often. We have been working really, really hard and trying to improve the whole program. The lack of funding, the fact that we don't have enough funding to really do this program justice is hard. It is very hard. We have been working in trying to rephrase some of the language of the guidelines so that come moving forward, come July 1st, there's going to be some language changes. I can tell you that in the RFP. And the RFP is a name for the guideline, basically. That stands for request for proposal, and that's basically our guidelines and so forth. I will say that one of our biggest concerns is the fact that our previous vendor ran out of money. Not the program, not the program. The previous vendor was utilizing the money in some ways that they were not expected to do. And so they spent more money on certain things than they should have, which is why the whole situation happened like it did. So that is why the task force is working real hard to try to curtail and specify exactly where the money should be going.
Who's speaking?
So like I said, we are expecting good things. As of this point in time, you're going to be hearing from us, all of you. We are working on how we can approach the legislators to get more funding. And that's going to take a lot of work from all of us. You know, letter writing, contact your congressman, blah, 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 making trips to Jeff City, blah, 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 blah. You will be hearing from us. But please know that just because a bill may be passed doesn't mean we're going to get the money. It still has to go through budget. It's government. You know what I'm saying? It's government. So the chance of us having more funding come July 1st is very unlikely. Maybe in the future, you know, maybe sometime next year or the year after, maybe, but we have to work together to get there. So with that in mind, July 1st, we're still going to be working with limited funding, I'm sorry. And so that is why I'm glad to hear that Deaf Inc. is they're keeping it status quo for the time being, but they also understand the limitations of their spending as far as the administration of the program. And I know that's been hard. One last thing I will say is, I believe it was Delinda, she used the word, and I don't like it, Uber. I don't like it. Just so you know, per Vanquil, they eliminated the use of Uber, so that's not current, okay? Uber used up a lot of the money. And even the commissioners feel Uber is not the way to go. So just behoove you. Thank you. And feel free to reach out to me anytime. Oh, you will be getting an email down the road with all of the task force members with our contact information, just so you all know. So watch your email. Thank you.
This is Delinda signing. I wanted to add, first of all, thank you, Mary, for your comments. I really appreciate that. It's really important to know that, and I'm happy to see the growth in the task force. Because I remember back in the day, it was just the four of us, It was me, it was Mary, Beth, and a staff member from MCDHH. It was just the 4 of us. And so it's very exciting, and I'm really happy to see that, you know, we have equal representation in this new task force. We have SSPs, 2 representatives, we have 4 representatives, we have deaf blind. It's not just the 2 of us, so I'm very pleased to see that growth. I also want to add that we wrote down a few questions from our emails that we had gotten. So one question that we got was, can I donate to the SSP program? Yes, absolutely. You can donate to the SSP program. And it's not to MCDHH. And this is because that's a state office and they can't collect the money. That being said, you can donate to the agency, you know, Deaf Inc. So that would be us, if you want. It's not required, of course. We do not expect it. But if you want to, you can set up an account to donate. And Sarah wants to add. Oh, yeah, this is still Linda. We had set up a restricted. We have restricted funding for the SSP program, which means that if we get donations, we can add that to the SSP program. It will not be used for other things. It will be specifically for the SSP program. Okay? Is there a virtual question?
This is Michelle. Erica, yes, we saw that your hand is raised. And for those of you that might be thinking it's 11 o'clock and break time, we're going to try and get through these next few questions and then take the break so that we can get this part of things done. One of the questions via Zoom is, will participants that have extra hours be able to donate their hours to other participants who have used up their hours?
This is Delinda signing. That's a great question. We have not yet really discussed that. But Anna, would you please make a note so that Sarah and I can make a discussion review and see if that's possible. So I will let you know.
Okay, then the next question is, how will participants be able to track the hours they've already used so far, and how many will they have left? Will Deaf Inc. be keeping track of those hours, or will participants need to keep track of their own hours themselves?
This is Delinda signing. We will track the hours, and Anna will be the one who will be communicating with you all through email or a phone call to let you know, whatever number of hours you have left. However, that being said, we would like to see that accountability on your part so that you can track it yourself as well. Because sometimes maybe we overlooked something, or, we'd appreciate the both of us kind of taking track. And if you see a number and you're like, oh, I don't think that's correct, please contact us so that we can investigate and make sure that we are all on the same page. That is not a problem. We would like to see that shared support. And, Sarah kind of added to me, we were mentioning that our goal for this SSP program is your independence, right? Your self-accountability, etc. So for example, maybe you schedule your own SSP and you contact the SSP program, you get it ready to go, and then you let us know, we can put it in. So if you know who you are going to be working with, you can tell us, or if you need an SSP, we can search for one to find that's available to work with you. One thing that you guys need to know about me is that I am very, very, very deeply stubborn. And I am so much like, you need to be empowered. You have no idea how strongly I believe in that. If I were your SSP, you would quickly learn that I do not do anything for you. I am working with you. So I'm very, very, very proactive on, empowerment and independence. So I'd be happy to work with anybody on that, and I would encourage you to take up responsibility to monitor your hours. Okay.
The next question is, do deafblind participants need to resubmit their paperwork?
For right now, no. We have all the paperwork given to us from Vancro. But if you need to update information like a different address or email or etc., please do contact us so that we can update that. And if you noticed, oh, I'm not getting emails, again, please contact us so we can check to make sure. Because sometimes when things are transferred, they could be accidentally mishandled or changed in the process.
Okay, and then is Anna working full-time, or are there limited hours that participants and SSPs can expect for communication from Deaf Inc.?
That's a good question. This is Delinda again. Good question. So for this time, Anna will be working part-time. We have not yet decided hours, set hours during the day, but once we have those hours set, I will let you all know. She will be working part-time for now. But that does not mean like, oh, well, I have to wait for a response for the next day. No, you can go ahead and email us anytime. Email, call, leave a message. I will be able to also monitor if I see something that's very important and can't wait until the next day, I will help out if need be, okay? Otherwise, it might wait until Anna gets back to work, back to the office. Okay?
The next question is, are we able to know who the task force members are? And Mary already stated that she would be sending out an email with that list, so you all should be getting that soon. And if the previous vendor was spending funds in a way that was more than expected, but Deaf Inc. is proposing that the previous parameters are staying in place, how is Deaf Inc. going to be spending less of the program funding? It seems like something would have to change, like SSP hourly compensation or mileage travel time or admin compensation, etc.
This is Sarah signing. I'm happy to answer that question. I know that it seems kind of weird that we are taking over some of the process that Vancro, used. We are keeping with the same SSP number of hours because we know that we have enough funding with, what we were awarded for the last cycle, the last 6 months. So what will be different is that we will not be providing trainings. And so that is where a really big chunk of money was for those trainings. So if we need to provide trainings for like an emergency situation, for example, deafblind consumer in part of the state with no SSP services, then we at Deaf Inc. will take care of that. Or we will find funding from another area to support that need. But the award that we have, that is enough and satisfactory for the 40 hours per current active client for the last part of the cycle, those last 6 months. And so again, we are using this time of the 6 months to evaluate, the funding and how we are spending it, where is it going, how much are things costing, and we will be able to provide that to MCDHH, that number and data, to discuss and look at how the budget is broken down. So maybe we don't have a specific direct answer to that, but just know that we are actively evaluating. This program has not been evaluated for a few years, and we are taking on that responsibility because it needs to happen, period. I mean, really, and it should have happened every single year. So that is something that we are committed to doing.
We're
The
gonna need
last
to
question via
interpreter
Zoom
switch.
at this time, and then we'll go to Erica. Is maybe I missed this. SSP worked for a few hours already the last few weeks in January. Are you able to do back pay for those hours that the SSP worked during that time?
Sarah signing, she said, unfortunately, no, we cannot, for accounting purposes, we cannot go back.
Walking to Erica.
This is Erica speaking. In the past, we were able to request the SSP that we wanted to work with. Are we still gonna be able to do that?
Delinda is signing. I believe so. With all the information and all the data that was transferred to us from Vancro, I have not yet seen a deafblind and like a preference list from deafblind consumers. I haven't seen that yet. But once we are finished setting up the platform and everything is finished transferring over, I will look over for that. And if I don't see that, then you would have to, again, let us know who your preferred SSPs are. Because we can absolutely make that list of preferences. And also we can, if you are like, ooh, I do not want these specific people, you can also tell us that so we can have a list, okay? That is something that we can communicate with Anna and she can help compile those lists. Okay.
Walking to Brad.
Let's see here. Do we, maybe last question and then we'll take an actual break.
A couple of things. Well, so first of all, Delinda, I want to clarify something to you. So
This is Brett.
this is Brett. Under the old structure that Vancor had, there were two ways actually you could request the SSP you wanted. Number one was, as you said, the preferred and non-preferred lists that consumers made. Number two, though, was just direct booking. Like I would say to the SSP I wanted, are you available on X date? They would say yes, and then I would send the request, and we would send the request in and say, hey, this is who I'm already scheduled to work with. And the request form specifically had options for both of those methods, depending on what you were using. So I was curious if DeafInc will also have that same mechanism. And just so everyone is aware, during the break, we will have corrected, sorry for the errors last week, corrected trivia night letters with the info you need on them, those being the SASE email address and phone number. And we do have some snacks and water during the break. We have Oreo cookies and various chips.
Okay. Okay. This is Delinda. Yes, yes. So our platform, USCED, whenever you log in, you put the date, the time, the location, where you're going, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And there will be a box where you can put notes. And in that box, you can say, oh, I already talked with my SSP and we agreed that we will be working together. And then on the other tab that you click there, that is where you can put the name of the SSP. And so Anna will be seeing the notes and seeing the tab and seeing that conversation already happened. So Anna will confirm with that SSP, hey, you did the thing, you conversed and it all worked out, and then that reservation will be in the system. And that relates to a different question that was emailed to us. Let's see here, my paper. Really, there's two that are kind of linked. How do I make a request for services and I do not have a phone or computer? How can I make a request? So I'm going to put those guys kind of together. So again, you can call us, you can email us, you can text us, or you can use the platform to make those requests. Okay, those are the different ways. And if you do not have a phone, if you do not have a computer, well then let us know and we can communicate and figure out some way. Maybe you can find somebody else to call for you or something. We can work it out. And if you have an SSP with you and you get, like if you're working with an SSP, maybe you can ask them to schedule it for you or help schedule it for you for future requests. So again, be creative with your use of your SSP and your hours. Okay? Okay, let's see here on my paper.
I need a phone number and names for phone next to I can call.
Okay, so I have a few more questions that had been emailed to us, but we're gonna hold those until after the break. I know there's a few people who have hands up, so please hold your questions until after break. Let's do 10-minute breaks, that sounds good? 15, 15, let's do 15. 15-minute break. So right now it is 11:15-ish, so we'll be back at 11:30.
And this is Julia. And the snacks are on the round table next to the kitchen doors.
Do you want to do the meeting? Now a good time?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So Brett, you know, I always like to have you spell your last name. Date of birth. Address.
Yeah.
Hang on just a second. Coachman. Missouri. Phone number? Your email?
Okay.
25 at Gmail. Do you want me to read it to you? Or do you want an overview?
Sure, you can read it, or
It's kind of long.
give me just like an overview.
Okay, basically, you're giving permission to definitely to use your picture on websites and Facebook. If you're in the picture. And this is the 25th, right?
Good. Now, I'll let you go take chips, right? Say, yeah.
All right, and then I'm gonna grab your signature. Give me just a second.
Mom gets nothing but a knuckle sandwich. I'm sorry, I'm being.
All right, there's that, and then right there is the line.
No.
Hi, how are you? Thank you. And then someone is calling your name. I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Tasha? Wonderful. Brett?
Yeah.
Question for you.
Okay. For staff members, a director. Yes.
No.
So it has the PO box in it, but it's the wrong.
All right, I'll be right there. Gary, what do you want? As a water?
No, I don't.
What's a chip?
So you need a link.
I just died.
I'll take some chips.
I got potatoes.
Yeah,
Yeah, fine, fine. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Gary?
Thank you.
What kind of cookies?
Yeah, cookies, chips.
Yeah.
Chocolate chip on your body.
You want me to get it? Okay, Linda. I mean, probably about the, what do you consider like? Tacos, and then it's like some. Okay, any particular? Okay, Brett. All right, here's some water.
Hello, can anybody hear us?
Yeah. Oh, I have ice in my bottle of water has ice in it. It looks like so does yours. Honestly, I haven't had a lot of time to practice. Just because I've been running. But I mean, sounds good. Hopefully they can get the insurance figured out. That's definitely. I hope so. I hope so. I started out not driving for SSP because of that requirement. So hopefully that. Right. There you go. Yeah.
Which would not be.
All right, I will see if I have any. Like barriers. Big Gary, big day.
I promise.
All right.
Michelle has a tea bag in her.
I know.
Perfect. Your way, but.
Yep, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that. How you guys back? Yeah. So, yeah. I get to it.
Really?
I went to go visit my mother. So I drove up to her house, next house, I took her.
Oh, I get you know, I don't want to turn it off here.
Yeah.
I'm not used to. Yeah, you came back. Yeah, feel like I'm cold, right?
Right. No.
Potatoes healthy, right?
Yeah, I work in it all the time. I absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Corns.
Yeah. Right, we have a table, like a small table in the front of the room. We have the table that we're sitting at, and then we have a large, and then I put up a set of tables behind that table. And the table behind everybody is sitting, that nobody's there, but people are setting their stuff there, so I'm kind of glad we have it. But the other table all have people, at least one person at the table. So I think we did a good job.
My understanding, you don't have to take.
Oh, then right, I know.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. It's fine. Try to get everybody's answers.
Oh, yeah. I can't think.
Like I was.
No, it's a fruit. So do you live on? Do you live on?
County.
That's what. Yeah.
Yeah,
I have that. Yeah, I have been.
I don't know. That's.
Yeah.
Yeah, right off of,
Well, they live in.
So I haven't seen them, but I'm pretty sure my neighbor.
I just wasn't sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yes. There's.
Really?
Oh my God. Crazy.
Okay, you want to give a minute? Paul?
Like 1 minute warning, everyone.
Yes, this is Michelle. Um,
This is Amy. The interpreter told me that we're not able to see Delinda
No,
or
we don't
Sarah
see
signing at all while they're presenting, and so it would be
So we're starting with
easier if
Erica?
I was able
Is
to
that right?
rely on
Erica or
Delinda and
Erica
Sarah
finished.
directly rather than relying on
So
third interpretation.
we don't.
And then also, it's a lot of talking that's overlapping. It would be better and easier to follow it if one
We
person
don't
talked at a
see
time.
Delinda
And
on
so,
camera because we don't have.
and I'm sorry, you're responding, Michelle, and Amy's still
to be able
talking,
to
so
see.
hold on. And
And
then
once
Amy's
you are
saying, so if we
ready to
could,
wrap, you can make your way
make sure
back
that
to
we're
your
talking
seats.
one at
That
a
would
time,
be amazing.
because that would make everything a lot more smoothly on our end. Thank you.
All right, this is Belinda speaking. We're gonna go ahead and start back up again. I'm gonna go ahead and look at some of the questions that we got through our email. We have a few that we want to go ahead and answer, and then we'll open the floor back up to you guys to
Lydia
ask
has her hand
questions.
raised.
We already did that one, we already did that one. Okay, so one question that we received was, how do you apply to be an SSP for a deafblind consumer? Oh, how are you assigned? That's one part of, that was an interpreter error. One part, you can communicate with your SSP and decide that, or you can communicate with the technique. If you do not know who the SSP is, or you don't know anyone who is available, that's fine. Go ahead and fill out your SSP request through the platform, through USCED, and then be specific about what kind of SSP you're looking for. If you're looking for a male or a female, if you're wanting somebody who signs or uses English, use your specifications and then hit submit. And then Anna will be able to pull up the information, look at all the SSPs that are available, first focusing on your region where you live within that radius. The reason being, again, because we want to be able to utilize the money for your services and your program hours wisely. So we want to look at your region first within a radius. If there's no one available, then we will expand the radius to look a bit further out, trying to find an SSP that matches your needs or your request.
Michelle, there's a hand raised by Lydia.
Okay, yes. Wait just one moment.
Walking with the microphone.
What if, this is Kay, and my question is, what if we, Deaf Inc. had a meet and greet so that you could actually, we can actually, meet the SSPs and kind of get a feel for who they are or whatever, because you can read on a list, the name and whatever, and you have no idea. It would be really neat at some point that we could all meet the various ones and find out who they are, what their interests are, and maybe strike up friendships that way where you would know who to contact. It's a thought.
This is Delinda. That is a fantastic idea. For this today, this quarter, we will not be able to do that. But later, we're going to have Anna put that in a note so we can evaluate and kind of keep that in mind for within the new grant cycle. That is a great idea. That's not a bad idea at all. That's a very fantastic opportunity to mingle with each other. And that will really lead to one of the other questions that we have through an email that I just remembered. Regarding SSPs, some SSPs feel there's no support. They're feeling a little disconnected. There's no feedback, no like no questions, no ethics, trying to like figure out the support for the SSPs. So that is a great question, and Sarah and I have already began that conversation with MCDHH, having a little bit of discussion, kind of throw out some ideas of possibility of some kind of way for SSPs to connect with each other, to be able to share feedback, share their ethical ideas or what they would do for a specific situation. How would you manage this? But I do know, I'm very aware, I'm very, very well aware of some of you deafblind individuals with concerns of confidentiality. So first and foremost, we will be very, very strict with the contract that the SSPs sign with an agreement to confidentiality. Also on that, we also have set up a grievance process where you're able to, if you are feeling, hey, my SSP broke confidentiality, they were sharing something or anything, you're able to file a grievance with us, and we have a process. We'll be able to contact, you'll be able to contact Anna. Anna will provide that, send that information to me, and we can approach that with the deafblind individual and the SSP to make a definitive decision for what the action would be. If it's beyond my ability to respond and make a decision, I will send it on to my executive director, Sarah, who will make the final decision. If we still feel like that's not the best method, we will contact MCDHH. And that is kind of going to be our grievance process. If you have a grievance or a complaint against us and our work that we are doing, please, please, please contact me or Sarah so that we can begin that conversation. You can begin that conversation with us so that we can evaluate what we're doing, so we can problem solve or change whatever we're doing. If you're not satisfied with something, contact MCDHH. Okay?
Oops.
I see several hands pop up. Okay. So whenever we are sending out that description with the contract, everything written out and everything, we can add a steps, the process for the grievance. We can add that to the end so that you have it written out so you know what the process is spelled out for you.
Okay, via Zoom, we have a question. Lydia, go ahead with your question, please.
Yes, this is Lydia speaking. Can you hear me okay?
Lydia, can you unmute yourself? Lydia, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Michelle, Lydia is unmuted and we can all hear her fine. I think you can't hear Lydia, but we all can hear her okay.
Okay, Lydia, I still can't hear you. You are unmuted.
Michelle, can you hear the interpreter's voice?
Jamie, can you hear Lydia?
Yeah, yes, I can hear Lydia. I
Oh,
think you can't hear me. Can you
okay.
hear my voice right now?
Hold on a second. I'm gonna try something different here. Okay, somebody say something now.
This is Lydia speaking. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, Lydia, I can hear you now.
Okay, great, wonderful. Okay, so my question is about the new scheduling
Lydia's question is
application.
about the new scheduling.
So I know previously it was mentioned accessibility issues with interpreter intelligence, which I
know previously it
experienced.
was mentioned going through interpreter intelligence.
And so I was wondering if the new scheduling system has been tested for screen reader and braille display accessibility, and if
So I was
not,
wondering if the new system has been tested for screen reader and braille display for
and then
accessibility.
if not, I
And
just wanted to offer myself as a volunteer to help
if
with
not,
that.
she's willing to volunteer.
All right, this is Delinda. Yes, USCED has been, yes, USCED is accessible to be screen read. Sarah and I met with representative from USCED and we discussed very in-depth some of those abilities to be accessible. USCED has a toggle button where you're able to click on that and it will only do text read. We have tested it. We were able to do it and it pulled up the entirety of every single word. There was no pictures, there was no added nothing. It was all just the text. As well, we also were informed by 2 other deafblind individuals that USCED is more accessible than interpreter intelligence. So my plan will be once our platform is finished and live, we'll do some training on it. I will plan to pull in several different deafblind individuals who use screen readers, and I will be looking for JAWS and NVDA, those 2 users for screen readers, plus low vision individuals, pulling in a couple of them to be able to do a beta test. That is one of the reasons it's kind of taking a little bit longer to take this program to start the platform because we want to make sure everything is smoothly accessible before we put it forth. So thank you, Lydia, for that question. And you might be one of my little lab rats. Lab rats. I'll write your name down and we will contact you about that.
Thank you.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're going to write down Lydia's name to make sure we're good on that.
And this is Brett with a quick follow-up. Delinda, and I would encourage you to take advantage of Lydia's help because it's not often, but it is a rare problem where you will have something that's accessible with speech, but not accessible to someone who relies strictly on Braille.
Okay.
Hi, this is Kainisha. I got permission from my consumer to ask this question. As an interpreter for the deaf in the community, I'm familiar with both platforms, USCED and Interpreter Intelligence. And as an SSP, one thing that I appreciate about Interpreter Intelligence is that it sent quite a few email reminders for the consumer and also for the SSP saying, hey, you got this date coming up, this is your consumer, this is the time period. One thing that I've noticed about USCED is that the interpreter has to be very strategic in keeping a good calendar. You have to mandate your own calendars and keep track of the times and dates. I don't know if USCED sends reminders, automatic reminders in USCED. So I don't know if that's something that you can discuss with the database trainer or platform trainer and send reminders for the consumer and also for the SSP. Because to my understanding, USCED does not send automatic reminders to keep everybody updated on the assignment.
Okay, Delinda saying, thank you for sharing that experience. I use USCED as well as an individual myself. I have not yet really experienced using it from the other perspective as like an interpreter or as an admin side, but I have been told by our staff interpreter here as well as our executive director that yes, you will be receiving weekly notifications and emails that you should be able to set up your preference. I don't know exactly that part, but they just informed me that they just assured me that we are able to send emails warning you of upcoming appointments for the week ahead. Okay. All right. Next question from our one of the emails that we received. We discussed that one. Okay, one of the email questions that we received was a waiting list for new consumers or new SSPs. VanPro already gave us a waiting list and that has been transferred over to us. So I have that list of the wait list and I will also receive new requests and add those on to the bottom of the wait list. So I just really want to emphasize that we are not doing training right now during this quarter. Unless unless a deafblind individual is living in an area where there is no SSP services, I'll be able to make an exception for that. And I'll be able to go myself and train an SSP. But for right now, we do have a waiting list, but we will not start doing that until the future. So for trainings, I want to let you guys know that we are well aware of the quality of training that BandPro had already been providing the last few years. So we are aware of it. BandPro informed us. They were very transparent with us. MCDHH was very transparent with us. And MCDHH requested that me specifically, to go ahead and do the evaluation of the training process because I was a trainer at the very beginning of this program. So again, we're going to be doing some evaluations. I'll be polling from different people, from Beth Jordan as well. So we'll be able to evaluate and kind of figure out what's going on with the training process so that we will have a meeting with Becky Davis from SCDHH and be able to mention some of those concerns about being able to restart kind of that training process. But how we're going to be restarting that training process, we have not yet gotten to that point. That is something I'm still thinking about, how we will set that up. But we should be able to set this up a little bit better to do some trainings. So please be patient with us. We can't train everyone at once. I wish we could do that, but unfortunately I wish we could, but we just cannot do that. So probably going to have to do different like breakouts and like one day for one area and do that very periodically to get the training set. So really rest assured, I am working on the training. I am working on that concept. We are working to improve the training that is provided. Okay. Last two questions. This is still Delinda, just a different interpreter. One is an ethical question, and I'm going to hold on that for a moment. The other one is, can my SSP be my driver and have another deafblind individual in that car? Okay. Yes. So we can have one SSP with two deafblind individuals, two deafblind consumers. Now, don't get too excited. That will need my approval first, okay? Because I want to make sure that your SSP is experienced enough and skilled enough to be able to handle two consumers at the same time, okay? Because I don't want a brand new SSP that's very green with two deafblind individuals. Nope, we're not doing that. I care about you enough. I care about you too much to let that happen. So, if you and a deafblind friend want to go out to an event, the St. Louis Blues hockey game, for example. You're like, oh, I want to go together, and we're like, oh, we don't need two SSPs, we're only fine. And you guys have a conversation, and you want to have one SSP, that's fine, but please communicate that with Anna and let her know, hey, we have a game that we want to go to. I think that one SSP will be good for both of us. We can handle it, but be wise with that decision. And so Anna will let me know of that situation. I will talk with the SSP, make sure that they are clear of their role and if they are good with it, and then I will approve it. Okay? Sarah wanted me to add, she's reminding me, thank you. How will that affect hours? Okay. So suppose you and a friend are sharing an SSP, okay? We will split the hours between the two of you, okay? So two deafblind individuals, you'll be sharing your hours. So that means that Anna and or I will look at, the length of the assignment and who the SSP was working, meaning did they pick up one person and then go pick up the other person?
those times of the pickup and whatnot, those are gonna count against one deafblind individual. The first deafblind individual who's picked up, and then the second one who's picked up and then went to an event, that time management will have to happen. And so we will figure that out together and kind of share the responsibility appropriately between the two of you. I would be happy to kind of break down, if like more detail, if you want to see, oh, well, why are my hours being taken away? I will show you the breakdown if you want. That is not a problem. Just ask for it. Okay. Last question. This one's an ethical question that was brought up to me, and I was like, oh, okay, well, that's a very good ethical question. So I wanted to share it with everybody. Can my SSP, can my roommate or my family member be my SSP? The answer is no. Nope.
No.
The reason for that is the line kind of blurs, right? So where is that boundary of SSP's responsibility, confidentiality, code of ethics, etc., and then family member, roommate, just helping each other out because we love each other, I care about you, etc. Roommates help each other all the time, washing dishes, cleaning, whatever, that kind of thing. So where is that line drawn? It gets real murky. So no. If you have that person as an SSP and you're doing whatever, and then the life situation changes and that person moves in with the deafblind individual, well, I'm sorry, well, that person cannot be an SSP anymore because their role has changed for you specifically. Now, they continue as an SSP for other individuals, that's not a problem. But for the deafblind person they're living with, no. Okay? Question, Mary. Is it related to the ethical stuff? Okay. So, if you have that kind of hesitation, you're not really sure, please check with us, okay? We will let you know if that is ethically accepted or not, okay? So that is all for our emailed questions. I think we covered everything. Okie doke. Now, is there a virtual question?
From Zoom. We have a question that says, currently an SSP is paid at a higher rate if they're working with 2 participants at the same time. Will this be honored with Deaf Inc?
Yes, that is a good question. I'm happy you brought that up. This is Delinda, sorry. If an SSP is working with 2 consumers, they will get time and a half, meaning the rate is increased. Okay, not a lot, but time and a half, it is increased a bit. Okay, does that help? Okay. I see a hand over on to my right.
Walking with the microphone.
Hello, this is Alicia Brickelmeyer. I'm an SSP. This goes off to rate of pay. Making sure and that we all make our budgets and that our deafblind consumers have enough hours. Will the rate of pay for the SSPs change? So Vancro paid a certain rate. Are you keeping the same rate for your SSPs for your deaf? Because I was thinking that is one way you could cut costs and keep hours for your, it's a way to save money.
Not better. This is Delinda. For this cycle, the rest of the cycle, we're just gonna keep it status quo, okay? So that is part of our reevaluation plan to try to figure out where the money is going, etc. So, I can't really answer that for the future. I don't know what that'll look like. We're not really ready to talk about the future rates and stuff, but that was part of our meeting yesterday. But anyway, so for this cycle, everything is gonna stay the same, okay? The pay is gonna be the same, the number of hours for SSP services is gonna be the same, okay? Part of that is, well, one, I know from my own experience that if we change the number of hours, if we change the rate, if we change X, Y, and Z, then all of you will have so many questions and it'll be confusing, it'll be chaos, and I don't have the time for training, like I said. You know, I don't have the time to explain all of that. So Sarah and I agreed that we're gonna keep everything the same for this cycle. And then we will address how we want to do training for the future, for the next cycle. Okay. Any more questions? I see 3 hands. Let's start over here.
This is Andrea Silver. Question is, you keep saying everything for this cycle. Do you know that you're having this program moving forward after July 1st? Is it already yours in the bag and you're not saying it?
This is Sarah signing. No. I mean, we don't know, honestly, who's gonna get the award for July 1st and onward. But it is our intent to apply again. But for sure, definitely, no, we don't know. There's no, you know, MCDHH was very by the books, and there's a process to follow. But they did ask us to help them kind of evaluate the program as we have it, because we know it is needed and it's very important for the future, for the strength of the program. And we are willing to put in that work for the evaluation. So we are hoping that that investment will benefit us. And, you know, it's not about us at Deaf Inc. It's not. So it's really about you guys in the program. Oh, Delinda reminded me. This is still Sarah signing. So I don't know how many of you are aware about the PGA, if you will. Program Grant Authority, PGA. So for this program specifically, the PGA runs for 3 years. So right now, this cycle is the end of that 3 years, okay? So the RFP will be redefined and changed a little bit based on the feedback and that we receive in the program. So this bid will be coming up soon, actually in the spring, and that will be for the next 3 years. So whoever is awarded that will get priority for the next 3 years. But that does not mean that they will the person who's awarded is going to keep the program. It might be terminated and rolled over. So I see Mary has both hands up. Do you have a comment, Mary?
I'd like to make a correction.
Okay.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. Is it on? No. Is it on? Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay. Thank you for allowing me to intercept here. Being I'm on the task force, I can speak from where we're at with this whole process. Sarah or Delinda, I'm not sure who just spoke. They had just mentioned about the program, the PGA, that the cycle ends June 30th of this year. It will be mandatory per the state that we put out a bid for the starting July 1st. So we could have, Deaf Inc. could be the only one, or we could have 10 people want to apply. Now, a lot will determine how well Deaf Inc. does between now and, the spring, as to, whether they're looked at in favorable position. However, they are not guaranteed it. The correction I have to make is the program, the PGA, it is for 1 year, not 3 years. I just want to correct you. The
Okay.
It is for 1 year, however, the commission, meaning MCDHH, and can allow the current vendor to keep going for another 3 years, 1 year at a time, providing they're being successful. So in other words, whoever comes on July 1st is not guaranteed 3 years. It actually will be a 4-year thing, 1 year plus a 3-year extension, providing the program is running smoothly. Thank you for allowing me to say that.
Yes, thank you for that correction, Mary Sarah signing. Okay, Delinda says there's a hand over here with a red shirt.
This is Rhonda Jones speaking, and sometimes you said that we can only have 2 deafblind people per SSP. What if our SSP is experienced enough that they can handle a group of people safely, and they have the room in their vehicle and they have the proper insurance? Are we not allowed to go out as a group anymore? Because I wear 2 hearing aids, my husband wears 2 cochlears. Bam, there's my SSP program for 2 people. But if the SSP is comfortable with it, can they not take someone else if we're all okay with it?
Do you mean with 3? No. So this is Sarah signing. I understand completely your perspective. We are all human, right? And with the experience and the different skill capabilities, maybe there are some SSPs that can manage, 3 or more consumers. However, from the program itself and from a business perspective, we as an agency are responsible for our subcontractors, who are the SSPs. So we must make sure that the SSPs are 1, experienced, 2, capable, they have the skills, but also, they are adhering to the code of ethics, the code of conduct, etc. So if something were to happen, like a situation were to arise, and they had 3 or more individuals, and something happened to one of those individuals, then the SSP went to that individual, then you left the other individuals, in the dust. So we want to make sure that SSPs are protected as well. And also we want to avoid burnout, exhaustion, fatigue, etc. And so we want to respect your comments, but we really want to limit it to 2. Okay. Interpreter pause.
This is Sarah.
Michelle, we do have
We
one
have
question. in the
30
Zoom
minutes
as well.
remaining. It is currently 12. Our interpreters do have a hard time limit and they have to leave at 12:30. So Brett, do we have a wrap-up plan, or do you want us to continue with questions? What are you wanting us to do?
Walking with the mic.
So we will probably start to wrap up in about 15 minutes. I do want to know, and this is Brett speaking, by the way, I do want to know, is there anyone who still has a question? And we will probably prioritize those who have not gotten a chance yet, if there is anyone.
Lydia's hand is raised on Zoom.
And William.
They both asked. Does anyone have asked? Or is that the stuff?
One more over here. A hand over here as well.
Tim.
Ron?
Oh.
Okay. I don't think Kim has asked yet. So again, we'll go for about 15 more minutes.
So we've got Kim Vaughn. William has his hand up, and there's a couple questions on Zoom as well, who've already asked. But Kim gets first go since she has not asked a question yet.
Hi, this is Kim. Do you ladies have a list of all the SSPs? Because I want to make sure that some of the SSPs that might not have been here today are, able to get the information so that they can fill out the information to continue to be, SSPs. Thank you.
This is Delinda. Yes. When I send out an email to all of our deafblind as well, I will send an email to all of our SSPs that we have on our list and we have a file for. So the answer is yes, we do have that.
This is William. Do you have a plan for the Advocacy Awareness Day in Jefferson City? Yeah, my idea is to have a group of all the SSP with a white cane to show up in front of the legislature. Even a new governor of Republican. We need to represent for ourselves what we are. We're asking for more support. Thank you.
This is Delinda. Yes, that is a great point. More deafblind individuals going to the Capitol, the better representation. Absolutely. I do not have the date with me currently, but I do know that every year Missouri legislation has a Disability Awareness Day at the Capitol in Jeff City. So when they share that information, I will go ahead and have Anna send out that information as well to share with you all as well. And then Sarah was adding a reminder. So Delinda saying yes, and that's mostly for the St. Louis area. This is a great opportunity to partner with SASE as well. Make sure that we're all in agreement. We're sharing our sharing on social media, Facebook, Twitter, or sorry, X. Instagram, everything. Make sure you're following those as well so that you're able to get those updates on different events that are going on. As well, remembering that our office is fairly new, our organization is fairly new to access for deafblind individuals. So I'm still trying my best to help make all the tweaks that we need to make. So if you are encountering any barriers, you're not getting full information with something on Facebook or anything, let me know. Let me know so that we can get that feedback. I can share that on with our team to make the additions and the changes that we need to make so that we're able to improve our contact information, where we're able to get all that into text for you. So please let me know any feedback for us. We want our information to be accessible for you all. All right. Speaking of Facebook page, Van Crow, they let us know that they are willing to give up their Facebook SSP page to us. So we are in that process right now, transferring everything over to Deaf Inc. admin. So please do not leave that page yet. Please stay on that page because we will be transferring over and we will be operating and continuing to run that. Anna will be running that and monitoring as well, that page. Before we keep going and before I forget, I do want to share one more important piece of information. We have a general community email for SSP program that is read by myself and Anna. That email is ssp@deafblind. Oh, sorry, my bad. Backtrack. ssp@deafinc.org. Again, that is ssp@deafinc.org. O-R-G. The interpreter got ahead of Delinda, and Delinda caught the interpreter. That email is just the general email that if you want to meet with a new SSP, or if you want to meet with a deafblind individual, or if you don't know about the SSP, someone who doesn't know about the SSP program at all, share them that email. Anna will receive that information, be able to share information with them about the program, about the paperwork, blah, 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 as that goes. So once we are ready to send out paperwork, Anna will be the one, and we will be sharing personal email as well to you once we are ready to do that. Well, not personal, but personal work email for you all. Okay?
Zoom.
All right, we have a Zoom question. Go ahead.
Amy, go ahead with your question, please.
Hi, this is Amy.
Hi, this is
I
Amy.
have a concern, and I'm not entirely sure how you're planning on addressing this concern.
I have a concern and I'm not entirely sure how you're planning to address this concern.
But there are very few deaf-blind individuals who don't use a lot of their hours.
There are very few deafblind individuals who do not use all of their hours.
And specifically regarding deaf-blind individuals in the Kansas City area.
Specifically, deafblind people in the Kansas City area.
And so I'm wondering, like we mentioned earlier about sharing hours, I wanted to see if that is something that can be done because there's a group that is currently talking about that.
And so I'm wondering about, there was mentioned earlier about sharing hours. There's a group that's been talking about that. And we're wondering if that's going to be an option, if you're going to be able to address that.
Was that question clear?
Was that question clear?
This is Delinda. Yes, that is a very clear question. For right now, during this cycle that we are currently in, I'm probably going to say no. However, it's not a hard no. I would say no for now, but give me some time to discuss that. That's part of our reevaluation that we're going to be doing. So I completely understand because January there's no use and then you have so many hours for the rest of the cycle. So let me go ahead and discuss this with Sarah and then we can figure out from there if this is something, if we have a logical way to be able to share the hours or if not. So for now, I will say no. And then
Okay.
Sarah just gave me a reminder again, Delinda is saying,
And
again,
then-
please use up your hours.
Yeah, and then this
You
is
will have
saying
40
there's
hours and that is a lot. So a lot crunching that into 4.5 months. I don't even know. That's a lot of hours. You're going to have like almost 80 hours. So please use them up. More questions.
Yes, continuing via Zoom. Go ahead, Amy.
1 second. Okay. So I was thinking, and maybe just to be more clear on my previous question.
I wanted to clarify a little bit.
So let's say a deafblind individual decides to join the SSP program, but
Suppose a deafblind individual decides to join the SSP program.
But they don't actually use their hours.
But then they don't use their hours.
In the Kansas City area, we've had issues with a specific person. And not currently, but
in the Kansas City area, they had issues with a specific person, not currently, but before.
They would not use their hours. And so we would constantly have to tell them to use their hours.
They wouldn't use their hours. We would have to pester them to use their hours.
But thank you, Delinda, for answering that question. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Delinda, for answering. Okay, and Lydia, you have your hand up as well?
Yes, this is Lydia speaking. I just wanted to clarify that I'm on the planning committee, and so the Disability Rights Legislative Day at the Capitol.
I'm sorry, Lydia, hold on a second. Give me chunks that I can give to everybody because we can't hear you directly. This is Lydia speaking, and I'm sorry, Lydia, go ahead. What were you saying?
Oh, the first part I was going to say is I'm on the Disability Rights Legislative Day Planning Committee.
I'm on the Disabilities Rights Legislative Planning Committee.
And so that day at the Capitol that we were talking about earlier will be Wednesday, February 26th.
That day at the Capitol that we were mentioning earlier will be Wednesday, February 26th.
And then my question was about scheduling and cancellation policy.
Is about scheduling and cancellation policy.
I know previously it was you had to schedule, had to cancel 24 hours in advance,
I know
regardless of
previously you had to cancel 24 hours or more in advance,
like inclement weather, medical
regardless of
emergency,
inclement
etc.
weather, medical emergency, whatever.
Is that still going to be the policy under Deaf Inc., or is that changing?
Will that still be the policy under Deaf Inc., or is that changing?
Melinda's saying that stays the same. And Melinda's saying we have time for one more question. And also want to make sure you're aware for visual awareness, one of our sign language interpreters is having to leave. So we are down to just one interpreter voicing for us. So yes, question in the back.
Not really a question. This is Marcia Martin. Most of you all know me and know how this SSP program is very dear to my heart. I've been trained not only by my husband, but my sister-in-law in regards to deafblind, and all of you have been my teachers. I'm telling you that if I would trust any of you, husband or Kathy, with anything to do with the SSP program, Deaf Inc. has it. I am 100% behind it. Delinda was my trainer way back when. I'm telling you, she's got it. You have no reason to worry. They are going to listen. And Delinda, she cares about it just about as much as I do. So please don't worry. This is, when I said Deaf Inc. before, that is totally different. There was not really anybody the last time, one that wanted to be able to support it, but there wasn't the other part of the staff that was. This is going to work, and this is going to be great for the next couple of months, guys. So please stop worrying. SSPs and deafblind.
Thank you. I really appreciate Delinda saying that. It's a lot to hear that. A lot.
All right, this is Brett. Thank you for those questions. Oh, sorry, Delinda, go ahead.
All right, this is Delinda speaking. We're going to go ahead and close up for us. So before we do that, though, I want to say thank you so much for your time, for coming, for allowing us to explain all of this. And we really appreciate your patience. We are aware that it's kind of tedious. It's been a month, you're waiting. We've been hard at work trying to do this as quickly as we can, but also we don't want to do things too quickly because we want to make sure everything is set up correctly for you all. Amen. So please be patient with us. And if you have any questions, if you want to share any feedback, please don't be scared to contact us. Please reach out. We have Anna, we have myself, we have Sarah. So please use that SSP at deafinc.org. Use that email, or you can email those email blasts that we send out. Please just let me know. Please, we are open to all feedback. I mean, we've been taking notes this entire time. We really, really cherish your concerns and we're taking them to heart. We want to do that. Lastly, that media form, please sign that and get that back to us. If you need help reading that paper, let us know. We will help you. So thank you so much. Now back over to you, Brett.
Okay, this is Brett. You didn't talk about this really at all today, I don't believe. I don't know if you want to really quickly address what is the future of scholarships?
This is Delinda speaking. To be honest with you, we have not yet even started that discussion about scholarships. It's part of it, yes, it's part of the funding that we are receiving for this grant. However, we have so many other things that we are trying to work on and focus on, developing the platform and policies, et cetera, et cetera. We have not yet even touched the scholarship.
Okay.
So once we have the program up and running and it's going, then we will be able to focus on that aspect.
Okay. Well,
and Sarah is adding, I want to make sure that currently, do not quote me on this. Do not quote me on, but I think there's $12,000 available for scholarship. for this 6 month cycle, that the end of the cycle.
That's right.
So we have that flexibility right now to be able to use that for the purposes of scholarship or directly to the SSP hours. So we have a little bit of flexibility with that funding currently.
Okay. Right, well, I want to, first of all, thank Sarah, Delinda, Anna for being here, and I wanna say too, one of the things I love about Deaf Inc. is that they, sometimes, and we've seen this with other projects that we worked with them on, it takes a little while to get the project up and going, but when it gets up and running, it's running well.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate that about you.
Thank you.
We also need a huge, I also hope, want to take the time and give a big thank you to both our in-person and virtual interpreters.
Yes.
As well as the amazing group of SSPs that we have here today.
Oh, yeah.
I'll say that, I said it at the beginning, I'll say it again for those of you who just joined us. If you are someone, mainly on Zoom, but there could be someone in the room or two, if you are not connected with SASI and would like to be, drop me an email at SASIinfo, SASIINFO 22@gmail.com, and we can talk about that. If you like the format of this meeting, we meet monthly, and we have meetings very similarly structured to this. And those of you on Zoom, in the future, we will be able to hear your voices as well, so we'll look forward to that. Other than that, I think we are good to go. Sorry. Corinne has her Super Bowl board if you want to participate on that, and also, what was that? Oh yeah, trivia night donation request letters are available. So, and they were changed because the previous batch that you may have picked up last week did not have the SASI email address or phone number on them. So, if you have some, even if you already have some, I would encourage you to pick some up, and don't forget, the SASI member that brings in the most donation wins $50. So, all right, and without further ado, we are adjourned. Oh, and one more thing.